are back with our special guest for Claws Out's Nail Art interview. This is Kristopher Bosch, who you know as Jerry from Detroit Become Human, amongst a bunch of other awesome things. So we're going to do a little design today. I'll show it here for everybody at home. So today we're going to be working on a festive little eyeball, little guys. Maybe it's sprites. Maybe that is kind of what they're supposed to be. This is from Totally the Bomb. That is the person who originated this design. So it'll be really simple. We start with our base coat to protect our nails. We then go on to a black coat. Mine actually has sparkles in it. So I'm going to do something a little bit different in that regard. And then we dot with white. And we also have a top coat. I also am doing something even more special. I have a glowy one that I'm going to put on the eyes, so then they'll glow. So I'm being very extra about this, but we can also be very basic. JJ is painting Tasha's nails, so welcome, Tasha.
Oh, am I?
Are you?
Or are you painting my nails?
Are you painting JJ's nails? What's happening?
Yeah, I'm painting kids. I have to go back to work.
Yeah.
I got it.
No, don't go.
How dare you making money and all that shoot.
And before we begin, let me refresh the Indiegogo just to make sure we know where we're at. We're still at $10,202. We have blown past our 2 milestones. We have one more milestone, 15,000. That will get us to our Indiegogo goal and into stretch goal territory if we make that. And I will also dye my hair blonde. So we will do that if we end up getting to
Edge Runners Michelle.
15,000 today. But as it is, we have already had a really, really successful stream. So while we do this, I will be asking some questions to Mr. Kristopher about his life and career and the theme
Observation.
Oh yes, it's
Amazing.
Octopunks are the greatest community in the world, like for real. We were talking about that earlier, just like unbelievable what these folks do. So there's 6 questions. We've got base coat, top coat, second coat, eyeballs, pupils, and top or base coat, base coat, first coat, second coat, eyeballs, pupils, and top coat. So it's a question with every coat of nail polish, essentially. And we'll start off with the base coat. And while we put on our base coat, I want to ask you, Kristopher, when did you know that you wanted to be an actor, and did you always want to be one?
Oh, when did I know I wanted to be an actor? I was probably about 7 years old, and I got an opportunity to perform, and I did it, and I had the most fun I've ever had in my life, and I've been addicted ever since. But this is the first time I ever discovered performance was through my grandmother. She was an amazing woman. Her name was Patricia. She was so fabulous. And she's not with us anymore, bless her. But she introduced me to the musical Grease, and she would put me in my underwear, and she would put her scarves in my underwear so that they would make a dress. And we would vacuum the house to You're the One That I Want. And it was just watching that car fly away at the end of Grease and all the musical numbers. I just kind of fell in love with this fantasy world. And that was kind of like when I discovered performance, and I was like, I want to do that.
What was the role when you were 7? What play were you in?
It wasn't really a play. It was just a school theatrical performance. And there was this old British character who was like 70, and they made me play him. So it was quite cool. But I tried to do the whole English accent and everything, and he was so foppish and camp, and I think I was like, I'm completely addicted.
What play was it, if I can ask? Is it something?
I don't even remember. It was some sort of like school acting end of year performance that they had thrown together.
I had a few of those when I was younger. I remember having to be Snow White in one. And I just sort of and all the other kids were dwarves, and it's like, that really imbued me with that only child energy even harder.
I was about to say, that reminds me, like when I was in first grade, I think the story was about like this teddy bear that was excommunicated by the other teddy bears for being a different color or something. Like it was one of those like, with the big lessons at the end. I was a bird who had a baby, and I was like a diva, and I was like, oh no, the paparazzi at one point, and that's all I remember from it.
So it was
Yeah.
the silver bellied sneeches or whatever it's called, but with the barcode rubbed off.
I guess, yeah.
I do remember having like acting classes and stuff when I was younger, and eventually went on to be just a director and writer because I realized acting was not for me. But I do remember having to do in fourth grade. I was in something called the Tea Party, but we were all letters, and then like the letter T shows up to the party and is like really mysterious about it and won't tell us who he is. Like won't tell, he pretends to be like a different letter. I don't remember. It was just a bunch of puns, really. I think it was just an excuse for puns. So yeah, I remembered having to do that. The school assembly stuff for sure. We had to do a lot of stuff. We had like a really weirdly patriotic one after 9/11.
Oh
This is so
God.
uniquely millennial Southern, like 2002 core.
Oh my God.
And I remember also I was in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat when I was 11, and we did that at the Dock Street Theater. It was a summer camp thing, and
Oh, the haunted ass Dock Street Theater that's burned down like 20 times. Yeah.
it would have been the
Yeah.
oldest theater in America if it hadn't burned down like twice.
Don't you just hate it when that happens? Yeah.
Definitely haunted then.
Yeah.
They say it's very, very haunted, especially backstage.
What year was it built?
So it's tricky. It was like 1850 or something, but then I think it burnt down in like 1890. It was only rebuilt in like the 1900s, in the 20th century, I want to say. So I think the actual current building is 100 years old, or maybe a little bit more. But the spot that it stands on, there has been a Dock Street Theater there since like the early 1800s.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a very it feels like an opera house. It's sort of built like an opera house. It's really gorgeous. Michael Smallwood actually performed there for the first time in his career really recently, and was really jazzed about it. It's kind of a Charlestonian's like bucket list item if you're an actor in Charleston performing the Dock Street. I got it out of the way when I was 11.
Yeah. Just for the resume.
And I basically decided I don't need to be an actor now.
Yeah.
Are we done with our base coats? I've got mine.
High and dry.
Yes.
Yes, Christopher says with hesitation.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let it dry for just a couple minutes. I'll get my black coat ready and start shaking it up, getting the juices going while my base coat dries. But while our base coats dry, we can move on to our top coat, or our first coat question. So this is more about your video game performance, because you did motion capture and voice acting for Detroit Become Human. Are there other video games that you've worked on as well?
Video games, yes, but just voice, not any motion capture.
Cool. Well, all things included, what is something that people assume about video game performers that is actually incorrect? Like about the process, about the lifestyle, about anything related to being a video game performer. What is something people wouldn't expect or that they misperceive?
I think sometimes people think that you might not do a lot in a day when you're an actor. And it is kind of true in film and TV. There's a lot of sitting around and waiting. Where in motion capture you can shoot like 20 scenes in a day and it's amazing. And so you work really hard. It's physically really, really demanding because you're not waiting for a set to change. You're not waiting for lights to change. You're not going for a different camera. So you can just shoot and shoot and shoot. And I think that's really, yeah, I don't know if a lot of people know that about being an actor on motion capture, is that it is heavy work. It is go, go, go. You're not sitting around. You're working, and you're working hard. It's like, yeah. And then you have to do all the different versions of it as well. Yeah, it's a lot. And I don't think people realize like how physically demanding it is, especially if you're shooting for a 12 or 13-hour day. And it's especially as you get a little older.
Yeah, there was
Especially yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
There was something that came up, with the video game SAG-AFTRA strikes and all that sort of stuff happening. there were some panels where people were talking a little bit more about this, and they're like, yeah, so on a normal movie set, you know, if you have to do a stunt or something, or if you have to do like a yelling scene or something like that, you do it, and then they have to like reset everything, and then you have to like sit down and wait for the scene to be relit and, you know, refocused, and all the continuity to be reset and all that sort of stuff. And so, you know, if you have to kind of do something strenuous, you run across the room or something, you know, you get rest in between. But in motion capture, you might have to do something 50 times, and you just
Can confirm.
literally in a row. They don't even cut.
Yeah.
You know, your tech just cuts the take, but you're still rolling. And that, you know, basically they need more protections and stuff for that, because like it's not something that is obvious, that you do have to actually do more in a day that might be strenuous than you would on like a normal movie set. But yeah, we also found that to be true. So we did a motion capture movie together earlier this year where JJ was the lead. So JJ's been in the suit and has done it himself as well. And then Tasha was on set as our scriptie. And yeah, we found it to be true. We could really blow through scenes very quickly and do a lot of takes and a lot of different setups all in one day.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's so much fun, and I think for someone who's neurodiverse and has quite extreme ADHD,
Me! Oh my God, yeah.
yes, it is kind of like a superpower, isn't it? Because you're like, I got more. I'm ready. Like, let's keep going. And
Literally.
yeah, oh yeah, I'm so glad you found that, JJ. Yeah.
Yes, I loved it. So it was both like a blessing and a curse for me because I was so used to like having been a PA on Michelle's set before. And we're like, okay, we shoot this one scene, then we have like 15 minutes, then we're going to start again. I kind of got into the, okay, I finished my moment there. I can just kind of like look off at the ceiling. And Michelle's like, we're still going. Do it again. Do it again. I'm like, oh, okay, let's keep going.
T-pose, let's reset. Let's keep going.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh, okay. But yeah, no, and it was it was kind of both forgiving and a little bit demanding, like with the, you know how you get like the energy dips and curves, and
Yeah.
I found I was most creative and productive, I feel like in the morning and then like later on in the day, but shoot. There's so much footage they can choose from. It's just yeah.
Yeah. And what did you, JJ, what do you think is something that people don't know about working on a motion capture set that they don't realize?
Um Well, I was about to say after I did Michelle's short film, I also went and did some study with like the motion capture vaults and some other studios here. So I did a little bit more. Um, I would say, yeah, it is quite physically demanding, but also your brain, it's not just, you know, running from one corner of the set to the other, but your brain, you constantly have to think about, I guess what they call like acting globally. Not only are you, I mean, you know, doing the physical, but to switch like between three emotions at once, like if the director wants you to run a certain way, run sadly, you know, run anxiously, run this way, you have to constantly be ready to just, you know, provide it. So I think improv skills are really good to have. But at the end of the day, I was kind of like, I don't know who I am anymore. I provided so many different characterizations and things of this one certain, you know, character. Some of these things may not even get used, but you know, it really calls on you to draw from like the deepest parts of experience and emotion that you have. And then, of course, if you're a method actor, which no, they're like, don't do method acting. If you're a method actor, I can see like it would be really like hard to, I guess, recuperate after the day. So you kind of have to be used to putting on, you know, faces.
Yeah.
Which I mean, as a neurodiverse person, you know, if we mask all the time, I mean, it's something we're constantly used to doing. So, but
I think
yeah.
that's also another kind of superpower as well that neurodiverse actors have as well. It's like you've been very good at covering things for a long time. You're able to
Yes.
shoot and cover
Yeah.
something else.
Do you do the thing where you just come out of like nowhere if I'm bored or just like need to stim kind of like I'll just put on a weird accent like some one moment I'm Russian, I drop a plate and I'm like, "Oh no, I've dropped the plate." It just comes out. That happens to me.
I mean, I'm just crazy. I'm constantly being different people. My poor husband, I'll just be like, I'll randomly do like accents like while we're out for dinner, and he's, oh my God, no. Like,
Yeah.
Well, you also
oh.
live in a country whose accent is not yours too, so
Yeah.
you
Oh
can
God.
almost get away with it a little bit.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh my gosh.
I had a job at Starbucks during the pandemic, and
Poor
um,
Tasha. Yeah.
She works at
I,
Starbucks, yeah.
oh, amazing. Um, And I remember one customer was like, "Why are you putting no in a Scottish accent?" Well, no, he was Scottish, but he was like, "Why are you pretending to be American?" And I was like, "Oh my God, I'm not. Like, I'm not."
I'm li-
And then he was like, "What are you doing here?" And like wanted to know my whole life story. It was so bizarre. But
oh
yeah.
my gosh. Why are you
Oh,
putting on a
Starbucks.
face?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Hey, I
Little
mean,
bit
the
of that.
drive-through was my favorite. I love the drive-through. My first job was McDonald's when I was 16. I used to want to do the drive-through. Even that, I would do crazy accents. Um,
He would love Heath,
Do you
actually.
just troll people in the drive-through? I mean, every person's a different experience. They don't know who you are.
Yeah.
exactly.
It's true.
It's good practice.
You just practice your tight five on whoever is getting a McRib.
Oh, yeah. I've seen videos where the person at the drive-through, like the worker will put on like the really femme voice, and you get up to the window and it's like this big butch like man, and he's just like, "How can I help you with your order today?" Yeah. I would love to do that. But I'll tell you, like the accent that I've been working on the most. So my family is from Midwest Ohio, right? And I just recently left a job where I was working on the Georgia-Alabama border. I don't have a Southern accent naturally. It was all by osmosis. But whenever I have this little old grandma, I'll just be like, "Yes, ma'am. How can I help you today, sweetheart?"
I
Like it
used
would
to put on
just
the customer service accent constantly when I worked at
accent.
McAllister's
I heard it.
Deli.
I heard it coming out there.
Oh,
Yeah.
y'all want to refill your sweet tea? Like it would come
Sweet
out
tea.
just natural because I worked. I'm in South Carolina, and when I was in college, I worked in McAllister's Deli, and
Yeah.
it was all these like after church families would come in, and
Oh God.
it was just like my default. I wasn't in control. My voice would go up half an octave, and it would get way more southern.
Look. Well,
So,
at least go ahead.
oh no, continue. Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say, well, in my line of work, there have been multiple times where like I have to kind of like speak to kind of like a rural family, like break them some bad news, and kind of like I don't know, put a whole Scarlett O'Hara on, the death of a family member kind of thing. I'm like, well, his heart wasn't working too good right now, so we're really trying to do everything we can to keep him, with us, but he might be seeing Jesus pretty soon. So that's happened to me several times.
Was it almost easier to like deliver the news because you were someone else?
Yeah, yes, actually, kind of. Um, I'm sorry to get like on the darker side of things, but it's very easy to put on kind of like a face and then kind of like detach yourself and move from the next room. It's where you can be kind of like gentle, but also not like invest too much of yourself in it. So, you
Yep.
know, yeah. And yeah, it's tough, but I find putting on the Southern Baptist voice is really comforting, especially a lot for people, where I work or where I did work. It was very, very Christian area, so kind of like being um, was he faithful? Do you want me to call in the chaplain so y'all can talk to Jesus? Kind of, yeah,
I mean, it's good,
a face I have to put on often,
So
but
kind of you.
good comfort.
oh, thank you. Yeah.
Where
Meanwhile, the gay Jew in me is like, but yeah. I'm not welcome here. I'll go. I'll leave the room. It's fine.
Where are we at with our base coats, everybody?
One nail is gone.
Okay,
Well, not done yet.
you're
Sorry.
about there.
Yeah.
I've done three. But
Get
I'm
with
only doing
it.
one hand because I'm not even going to attempt to do the left hand because I'm left-handed. I mean, it's already a mess. It's already.
It's-
Oh, you definitely can't see how outside the lines I am. I'll have to clean it up later.
well, my wife has done a perfect job, if I can say so myself. So.
Natasha.
Must be nice.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So, for our quote second coat, which may or may not, I'll brush up my top my first coat, I guess. But it's pretty. Black is luckily a nice opaque color, so you may or may not need to touch it up with a full second
Mostly.
coat.
Yeah.
So my second quote is not about a career. It's more of a personal question, but it's fun. Was there a character or a celebrity when you were younger who was kind of like a queer awakening? Like a person you can look back on and you're like, oh, that's when I knew.
Oh my God, Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Okay. Like Simba version or like Home Improvement version?
Like Home Improvement version, and then it was Joey Lawrence from Blossom. I was like, you are.
Yeah.
And I remember watching the show being like, God, no one knows, but like I'm obsessed with this boy. Like I just thought he was gorgeous. And I wouldn't dare tell anyone because I would have been smited to hell. So,
Oh God, yeah.
but yeah, I think that for me was, yeah, Jonathan Taylor Thomas, not Simba. Home-
Well, there's a very specific community though, so
Listen,
for
Robin
people who love
Hood
Simba.
Fox, we all agree
Oh
I
yeah.
was.
think it was his
Mhm.
version of Huckleberry Finn.
Yeah, he
Oh,
was pretty hot in that. Yeah.
And who was the other guy that was in that?
Was it AJ? What's his face?
This is going back a lot. I'm showing my age here.
never, darling, never.
Yeah, this is like slightly like Joey Lawrence. That's about like 5 years. I was like 5 years too late for Joey Lawrence. So yeah, we're
Okay.
about a little ahead of the curve for us. But I mean Jonathan Taylor Thomas, I certainly remember, and I do remember him in that Tom Sawyer Huck Finn movie as well.
He
Um,
was so sweet and he seemed so kind in his little blonde hair. And I was like, I like you.
He could fix me. Yeah.
he could fix.
Totally.
Yeah.
I'll run away with you down the river. Let's get on that log
Yeah.
thing right away. Yeah.
Definitely what Mark Twain intended. Absolutely.
Definitely, absolutely. I think mine was Shigo from Kim Possible.
Whoever it says the Shigo was not is wrong, obviously. I
I see
mean,
Tasha nodding.
well, yes, yes.
I mean, like well, like I definitely thought I wanted to be her, but I mean, it was that dichotomy. It was just like, I just really think she's so neat. I just think
Yeah,
she's so cool. I want to be that hot.
the it girl. Oh my God.
I
What
think
about, let's see, for me, I feel like I had multiple queer awakenings. Of course, when I was, of course, still, birth gender, still female, I kind of, Mulan was kind of like a two-hit wonder for me. It was like,
Interesting.
wow, she's beautiful. And then later on, I was like, wow, there's more to be garnered from this, actually. Um, but I remember watching Mulan like nonstop as a kid, and I had a crush on Mulan. And then Hercules as well. I
Meg
saw
was
him and I was
another
just
one,
like,
yes.
yeah, Meg, yes. Like Meg, oh my God, I loved her. But then when I looked at Hercules, I think that was the first time I was like, I don't like you, but like, what is it about you that I find so alluring? And I'm like, oh, I want to be brainless with big muscles. So, yeah, yeah, I'm working on the muscles part. I already got the brainless down. So, but yeah, Hercules was definitely it for me.
I love
Like,
how
I
we
can quote
both
that
chose
movie.
animated characters, and Christopher's like, no, I chose real human beings, you freak.
Yeah. Look, being Delulu is a Salulu.
Like, I'm
I
trying.
mean, The Little Mermaid might have also been like Ariel might have been my like queer awakening as well. Because
Yeah.
I want to be her, and I've got the red hair, I want the tail. Like,
Quite literally serving fish. I mean,
yes,
can you
yes,
get more real than that?
so fishy.
Yeah.
Tasha, what was
I,
yours?
JJ asked me this question like last week, and I was like, I have no idea.
definitely Shadowhunters. It
No,
wasn't
no. It would have had to have been when I was younger. I
Lara
don't know.
Croft? No.
No.
Peter Pan.
I mean, Peter Pan was like, I want to be with you, not I want to be you.
Well, okay. That's
I don't
true.
know. I don't know. I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to pick that up at a later date.
Yeah, I feel that, but I don't know. I feel like Shadowhunters had a significant effect on you that you're just not willing to come to terms with yet.
Well, Shadowhunters was like one of the first queer relationships that
Yeah.
was not horribly done.
Oh, yeah. No, I was about to say the first queer relationship I ever saw was Star Trek The Next no, it wasn't Next Generation. It was Star Trek. Was it No.
I'm
Oh
not
my God.
sorry.
What was it? It was like Curzon became Jadzia. I can't remember that one. But like it was like the first like queer relationship I think on sci-fi TV. That one. My dad would know.
I'm surprised I
But
don't know, because I know enough about Star Trek. But yeah, I don't. I wouldn't be able to say.
was it Enterprise or I don't know.
It probably
It
was
wasn't Deep Space
Enterprise,
Nine.
actually.
Yeah, you probably.
If
um,
Stuart was here, he would know. He's a big Star Trek fan.
Call him now.
I know nothing.
Yeah.
all right, so I think I'm gonna let this dry for a sec before we get to the eyeballs. because I don't want to smudge the eyeballs. So I'll move on to our eyeball question. What do we've got? Kristopher, what are some of your most fulfilling roles to date, and what do you look for when you look for a role?
Most fulfilling role. A friend.
Oh,
What was it?
a
I,
friend.
th- I say it sarcastically, but I do mean it seriously. A friend to people. That's my favorite role that I've ever played, is just being with people. I love people so much. But as an actor, my favorite role, I still have to go back to this production that I did in college. It was called The Killing Game. It was by Eugene Ionesco. And he was the master of the house, and he was just this crazy British English character. And he was just so over the top and crazy and foppish. And I just was able to get so lost in him. He was so manic. He was even more manic than I am. So I think that's why I really liked it, because I was like, oh, I get to really go to the extreme. Um, I got to play Benjamin and Joseph in the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Oh, Benjamin. I played Cousin Ed, so I didn't get to be one of the brothers, but I remember Benjamin. He's the one that got accused of like being the thief, right? And then he was like the little one.
Yeah, he was the youngest of the bunch, and it was kind of a fun role. I mean, I was 30 pretending to be like a 19-year-old, 18-year-old, so it was hilarious.
How do you do, fellow kids? Yeah.
Uh, uh, and I also like Jerry in Detroit. I do have to say that was like such a life-changing role, because it's when the characters inspire you as people that I really go, holy shit, like that was really cool. And I think the master of the house from this Eugene Ionesco play really changed me as like an actor and as a person. And then Jerry, there was just something about his empathy towards other people and his openness. And I don't know, it was just one of those characters that like a light bulb moment. You're like, oh my God, this person is like great, and they really try and make a difference. And I was inspired by that. That sounds so wanky, doesn't it?
No,
No.
no, Jerry's best boy. We love Jerry. All of
I
him.
mean, the only character that everybody is incorrect for not liking, actually. If you don't like
Wow.
Jerry, there's something wrong with you.
Um, yeah. We'll see what else is out there. And when I look for work, I look for characters that I'm moved by, that tell a story, that do something different. I also, as I get older, I want to tell more gay stories. When I was in university, all of my professors were like, you need to learn to be straight. You need to learn how to act straight. Otherwise, you're never going to work. You need to learn how to act straight. And I just got when I came out of drama school, I was like, right, I need to be straight. I need to be looking at these straight roles. There's no gay roles. And now, the past 10, 15 years, that's totally changed. And I want to be able to tell those queer stories. And I think it's important, because I wish as a young child that I would have had queer icons. And I mean, I did, Whitney Houston. I wish I would have seen that openly. I didn't see a gay person until I was 13. When I was in Vancouver, we went to the city for the weekend, and I saw two guys holding hands, and I said to my mom, "Oh my God, what are they doing?" And that was the first time I had been exposed. I wish I would have seen gay people on TV. I just didn't. It just wasn't something that we got in my generation. Oh my God, I'm so old.
No, I mean, I think it's remarkable to think about how things have changed even in the past 10 or 15 years, because I remember being in fandom for the show Heroes, which was like 2006 to 2010, and I recently also did a rewatch of Lost, which was 2004 to 2010. And while for the most part, they hold up pretty well from a production quality standpoint, Lost especially, it's really striking that there's like no queer people at all. Like they just don't even exist in the worlds of these network television shows from the knots, even in 2009, 2010. Whereas today, most shows at least have a gay character. Most shows at least have somebody in the cast who can represent queer experience. Even if the show's not like revolved around that or necessarily about that, at least the representation is there, and all across the board.
And the thing, something that's not specifically like a gay movie, because like you got movies like The Birdcage and stuff like that, but like that's where it was like specifically like a gimmick. and
Yeah,
like
or trauma.
campy and yeah, trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
What was it? But
So
not because I'm a cheerleader.
Right, with Natasha
yeah,
Lyonne, but I'm a cheerleader. Yeah,
we
yeah.
love Natasha Lyonne.
I also love stories about adoption and because I'm adopted, so I
Oh,
love stories about that. And I love stories about like reconnecting with their families because I've recently been spending a lot of time with my biological dad and my biological brother and sister, and that's been
Oh wow.
really, really cool, especially because I was adopted into such a conservative family. And actually, my biological family is so open and they're all artistic. And I remember the first time I went to their house, I went in their basement.
Oh.
They had guitars and pianos and microphones. And I was like, oh my God, all this artistic stuff that I never had as a kid it's all
Yeah.
here. It's all here. It wasn't me.
It's in your blood though. That had to be like
All in your
so full
DNA.
circle.
And it's
Yeah.
really cool to see a lot of the nature versus nurture things.
Mhm.
'Cause I get so much from my adoptive parents. I get so much from them, but then I have these innate behaviors from my biological dad. I haven't met my biological mom yet, but with my dad most certainly. So I really want to start telling stories about that because I think that's really important, and I don't see a lot of that stuff. So
no, I really can't think of many adoption stories that you might have characters who are in. I mean, really, representation wise, you don't even really see a lot of adopted characters, even just incidentally in media.
no. And it's one of the most selfless things that I think a human can do
Mhm.
is to give up a child that you've carried, especially for the person who has the child. Like you're carrying that, and to just give it away, that must be the hardest thing in the world. Um, so I have so much respect for these people that do that. And I just think that they have voices that yeah. I just think no more stories about that.
I know that MJ Slide, who is one of our friends of here at Octopunk, who was one of the lead actors um, in Livescreamers, as well as our assistant director on Lotso and assistant director on What a Beautiful Wedding, is adopted. And I know that their next feature, they want to explore the concept of adoption in a sci-fi sort of lens, sort of like through allegory.
Well,
Mhm.
And because they've talked to me about that before as well, that like there's not a lot of stories, and they like to process things kind of through the lens of sci-fi and genre and that sort of thing.
that's so cool.
Sci-fi,
Good.
I'm also
sci-fi just encompasses like such a safe space for what queer people, adoptees, anybody. I mean, like I can't think of a more perfect genre for people trying to heal from something.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think horror and sci-fi both are both like
Yeah.
sci-fi allows us to sort of see another world as possible, and
Hmm.
horror allows us to kind of grapple with the world we have.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah.
And then fantasy is kind of like also sort of imagining a different world. And but that might also be why fantasy has never resonated with me as much, because I feel like sci-fi is a little more actionable, whereas
Yeah.
fantasy is like, what if everything was magic? And I'm like, well, it's not. So
Yeah.
that can't.
There's too much possibility. Hone down on the possibility a little bit. Let's put some stakes in there. Yeah.
I'm
But
almost done with my eyeballs. I'm getting there.
thank you,
Mine
Tasha,
are
for paying
so
attention.
bad. They look like flowers.
Mine are very uh oval shaped instead of round,
That's okay. So are us.
but we'll kind
I
of
look kind of like Mickey Mouse's buttons a little bit.
they kind of oh wow, yours look really good. Tasha's doing a great job. There's
She
mine at this
is.
point.
Oh, sorry, babe. I
Give
almost
me
just
your
ruined
thumbs.
it. So, here's my thumbs.
All right, let me bring up my pupil question while I'll let these try and get onto the pupils inside the eyes. Is there a non-acting role in the world of film or theater that you would also like to try? Like somebody, if you could do anybody else's job on like a film set or a theater, like what would you be interested in doing?
Oh, a director.
You want to direct? Okay.
1,000%. That is like, I love directing. I love working with actors. I love teaching. I love creating something with other artists. Yeah, that's kind of so I just love telling stories. And I think the director has such a cool job. Because it's their story, isn't it? They're the one that harnesses everything, and they're the one that has kind of the overall vision. I love being an actor, but I'm also a control freak. So there's something
Yeah.
something really cool about being a director and having the reins on everything and really creating what you want and having the actors all come together on your terms and on your page. And yeah, you really see it through the director's lens, don't you? I think that's such a really cool job. I love directors. I have so much time for them. Yeah.
Have you ever directed before?
I have, yeah. I've choreographed a few things. I choreographed a panto a couple years ago. I've directed a few things, assistant directed a few things, and I really enjoy it. I work a lot at the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland here in Glasgow as a teacher, and I also work for Scottish Opera. And so we do quite a bit of directing and working with the students, and I love that work. Yeah, because I also love watching the actors make discoveries and having breakthroughs and um, doing things that they didn't even realize like they were capable of doing. I love watching that with actors. It makes me so happy because I know what it's like as an actor to go through that. Um,
Yeah.
I think that or casting. I'd love to be a casting director because I watch so much shit
Oh
on TV.
yeah.
I watch stuff on TV and I go, who cast that?
Yeah. God, that is the main gripe that I have. So, oh my God, whenever they try to do like live action like adaptations of video games or something, I'm always there with my popcorn like, I wouldn't have cast her or him or them. But I'm like somebody who has like an inside, knowledge of like, games and fandom especially. It's like consult us, please.
I
But
agree. Casting would be sort of my. I say that casting and talent management's my retirement gig. That if this whole like directing writing thing doesn't work out, I will find
sorry.
actors work and manage careers because I feel like I've kind of accidentally ended up doing that with some people already to this point, like by nature of casting a lot of the same people over and over again. And I also have like such a wide network of other filmmaker friends that very frequently I will send my people, their way for their movies as well. So there's been several instances where a filmmaker friend of mine, director friend of mine cast, kind of an Octopunk regular, so to speak,
Yeah.
in their movies as well. And I really love doing it. I love basically finding talent and being able to say like, hey, you should all hire this person. Like hire this person. This person's awesome. I think talent discovery is one of like the best parts of the whole job, really. Every time I get to cast a new thing, it's very exciting. Like I'm always looking for the next person who really ought to be discovered.
Absolutely.
And you, JJ, what about you? What would you?
Oh, I was about to say I've had the privilege through Michelle for to be able to do a couple of things uh like set photographer and acting and PA and stuff like that. Of course, my favorite has always been acting because I love to play. That's just who I am as a person. But I might go back to writing. I actually went to a an arts high school. My major was creative writing and script writing and movie and stuff like that. I enjoyed that a lot more than fiction and other stuff like that. My dad actually wrote an episode for Star Trek Next Generation and was almost accepted. It was like an open call for writers, and he kind of like pushed me onto that. So I think the biggest thing though is that I've learned that sometimes if you have like a different like writer and director, there could be like creative differences there. It could be like either world ending or like the greatest thing you've ever seen. So I don't know. I like to say I'm laissez-faire about things, but I'm really not. So if my creative vision and the if I didn't get along with the director, if like the director had a completely different mindset, it might be hard for me to reconcile that. But um I don't know. Writing sounds very fun. A friend of mine came to me with a idea for like a little RPG game, and I was like, okay, let's come down with this plot right now. Let's yeah. So Michelle,
Amazing.
I was about to say Michelle, I kind of look to Michelle as kind of like the jack of all trades, like master of everything, because you've quite literally done everything, and you've shown that it is possible to be like a one-woman show, like even if it is like back-breaking work.
Can't DP. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Well, look. I'm fair, but still, I mean, I don't know. I look at what you do and I'm just kind of like, I know it's possible, but I don't have the kind of strong spine that you do for all that. I'm like, it seems like it'll be cool for the while, but
It
you're truly like one of the people I know who can like see it through to the
Well,
end.
not to
And
be
like if anybody's got it,
understated, being able to do it full time makes a huge difference too. Not having to have a
yeah.
like a day job, a traditional 9 to 5. Like back when I was a chemist, it was much tougher to be accomplished or even to find something directly to focus on. I really had to dedicate all my time to the things that I do
Yeah.
because otherwise it's tough to. You're constantly navigating this dance of the opportunities that you want to pursue need you to be more available, but
Yeah.
you can't be more available until you have more of those opportunities. Chris is nodding because I bet you've been in that too.
It's the worst ever. It's the worst thing ever.
I
Yeah.
was
But you,
gonna say like yeah. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, but you just have to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in that position right now where like I am so in love with mocap, but I of course like money and location right now, I have to focus on like my other career. Nursing career. No. I love both of these careers. But it's painful to have to put like mocap on the back burner until I get myself more stable and advance in this other career. And God, me being me and like, this is really cool for 3 months. I hope I don't put it down and never pick it up again. Like I'm terrified that's gonna happen. And I know the world's like super competitive, and I curse you, Michelle, for giving me the taste of the elixir, and now I want more, but I just can't.
But we live in a world where you're able to have all of that, which I think is so
Yeah,
wonderful. And I don't think that we had that 10, 15 years ago. I think now you're really able
it's
to,
true.
there's so many possibilities. And yes, pick up something for 3 months and then maybe forget about it for a year, but you can always come back to it. And I think
That's
that's,
true.
you need to champion yourself and go, fucking did that. I might not do it for
Yeah,
another 6 months. I'll come back to it. Um,
yeah.
yeah. Michelle, out of all of the parts of the industry that you've worked
Oh my
at,
gosh.
Yeah.
which has been, I mean, directing, I would say is your favorite?
Probably
What
writing.
is the writing?
I consider myself a writer first, mostly because I cross mediums. So I would say writing is really where I'm also most confident in writing because it is the one that I've had the most formal training and most study in throughout my life. I haven't really studied as much to be a director. I've kind of just winged it up to this point. I probably shouldn't have.
You learn on the
It's
job,
working.
though. You learn on the job, and you've worked enough that yeah.
But yeah, I would say I think it's always fun to write a script because that's when you can get excited about possibility and you aren't restricted by money and resources and all that
Yep.
sort of stuff yet. Like you get to still imagine the best version of the thing still, and be relatively unrestrained by ideas and practicality. And
Limited
then
by your own experience is it. And yeah,
yeah,
that's the only boundary you've got.
directing can be a hit or miss. Most of the time, directing is fun, and then sometimes you have to deal with people you don't end up liking, and that's again in the case of writing, like you don't have to deal with anybody else when you're writing a script. It's a solitary experience. I've had a lot of people lately ask me to co-write with them, which I'm sort of like. I don't know how I feel about that because I like that writing is a solitary experience, actually. I don't think I want to bring, generally I speaking, I
Mhm.
don't really want to bring anybody else on. Like, I might help somebody with their script. Like, that's kind of, something. I helped Michael James Daly when we made Fame Fatale. I helped sort of iron
Mhm.
out that script a little bit, and then I ended up directing it. But ultimately, it's his story. It's his life. It's his memoir, essentially. Um, but I think that if somebody wanted to 50-50 and like come up with something from scratch with me, I don't know if I would work very well under those circumstances. It depends, I guess.
It's it's such a personal thing, isn't it? And
Yeah.
it's like on
Yep.
when your mind is focused, and like you said, there's something wonderful about doing the dramaturge stuff, going in and helping on projects or having someone's story and being able to create that and work and then come together. But to start something writing, I don't know, I've not written anything, but I would assume.
Yeah.
Uh,
It is very personal for sure, and it's
yeah.
it's tough to necessarily make sure that like it's tough to mind meld with anybody to write a script. It's challenging.
um,
Yeah.
So I think I'm dry enough Maybe it might still need a little
Oh,
bit of drying. I'm gonna keep the top coat out just in case if I do it in like two more minutes. But I'll go ahead on to our final question, our top coat question. Kristopher, if you could go back in time and talk to your 16-year-old self, what would you tell him?
Ah, oof, that's a 16-year-old you. Um, oh my God.
oh
Little young
God, that's a hard one.
young Christopher at 16, I'd say it's okay, be who you are. You're not in the wrong. You are not abnormal. You are enough. You will one day find your tribe who will be there for you, and you will be a tribe in tribes for other people. And just be a nice fucking person.
Yeah. Costs $0 to be kind.
It
Oh
costs
yeah.
nothing. Hold the door open for people, look people in the eye. This world is so tough, and we spend so much of our time either looking down or looking at our phones, and I just want people to engage with each other. But to 16-year-old me, like, yeah, I was just in such a state of fight or flight till I was about 21 in the environment that I was living in, unfortunately. And I didn't
Mhm.
have any queer role models. I didn't know any queer people, and I just I'm so sad for those humans out there that don't have an outlet, that don't have a support system, that don't know any queer people, that think that who they are is wrong. And I just wish that I could go to all of them and let them know, like, you are enough and you are loved and you are not weird, and like you will find your way. Yeah, I think that's, yeah. Sorry. Oh my God, ADHD rant right there.
No, that's
Yeah.
perfect. I would snap if my nails weren't wet.
Yeah. Ditto. Snap, snap. There you go. Tasha
I
got
think
it.
that's what I'd go to 16-year-old self. What about you guys?
Michelle, you go first. I'm trying to
um,
remember what I was at 16.
I think 16-year-old me would be really gagged at all the stuff that I've gotten to do. So I think what I would sort of say is a lot of your dreams are going to come true. Um, and just
Mhm.
like heads up, a lot of cool stuff that you want right now is going to happen. You're going to get to make movies for a living. You're going to get to produce multiple features. You're going to get to make live action fan fiction, and people are going to actually like
Yeah.
it. You're going to make fan fiction movies, which was only a pipe dream when I was a young person. Um, you
I
know,
discovered AO3 at 16, so yeah.
you're going to get to publish a
Imagine.
book, like just all the sorts of things that I wanted when I was 16 was I you're not going to have to work for a company like you maybe for a few years you have to have a job, but at least for now it's like you'll get to work from home and set your own hours and all that sort of stuff, like yeah, all that I wanted when I was younger. And so I think that would be fun to go back and say that you're going to get a lot of cool stuff. Also, that boy you have a crush on, and well, boy at the time, non-binary, we've later found out,
A strange
who you have a
being.
crush on, who sits in front of you in econ gov class, you're going to marry that person. Yeah, so you're gonna get to marry your crush. You're gonna get to live happily ever after, hopefully enough, for a while. So
It's
yeah.
like the paper fortune teller outcome that was like, yeah. Oh
JJ.
God. For me, honey, put the prom dress down. We both know you hate it. Yeah. Um, and I don't know, like you, Chris, I was kind of stuck very much in like a fight or flight. So very much kind of like my expectations for what my life was going to be were very low at the time. It's very much kind of like if this happens, well, let's see if we can get there. Honestly, my 16-year-old self would probably not think I'm cool enough to hang out with who I am now. And I don't mean that as like I'm the best person in the world, but kind of like I kind of let myself grow, you know. And huh, I don't know. So much has changed for me. It's kind of hard to nail down like one specific thing. None of this where I'm at right now, I don't think I ever imagined any of that being in my cards. Like when I was 16, I think I wanted to like train police dogs. Like I was like, that's a random career that seems like it would be good because I liked dogs. That was like the only interest that I think I really had at the time when it came to career. But I had just discovered, um, like, the world of fandom. I was just about to discover, I guess, where all that was going to take me. Of course, I don't want to train police dogs now. That's obviously far in the past. Different brain cells, different brain. No,
You
but
could still do that. You could still do it.
I don't know. I think we're pretty cool where we're at right now. I mean, my dog training skills kind of suck if we take, the dog I have right now. So that was a pipe dream a long time ago. Yeah.
Not your fault. He's stupid.
Yeah, he has two brain cells that occasionally collide and produce a thought. So, but I don't know. It's such a still a moment that I haven't quite reckoned. Like one thing tactic in therapy that my therapist had me do is like kind of imagine yourself sitting at a table with like six yous from different points in your life, and the 16 to 18-year-old self is still one that I haven't quite reconciled yet. So a little deep, yeah, in there. So
It's
I
a
don't
tough
know.
age. It is such a tough age. I would not want to go back. I do not envy humans that are at that
Exactly.
whatsoever. It is a horrible time.
I
I'm so
literally
sorry.
hated being that age so much that I oh no, what did you I left high school a year early. No, I have one.
Sorry.
I have one I smudged. I smudged him, but like that one
I'm so
looks
sorry.
really angry. I love it.
Wait, we didn't even put the pupils on yet. I'm so sorry.
The rest of them just look kind of goofy, but I love them. So that's it for Claws Out today. I do have our two other guests for the next segment waiting in the waiting room, so we'll let them in a sec. Kristopher, thank you so much for joining this. This is delightful. You gave such wonderful answers. And this is our trial run of this nail art plus interview stuff. So
I'm not showing you my nails because they look horrific.
You've got to. Come on, you've got to. It's a safe space. Safe
I've
space.
got paint coming down one. They are a mess.
they are Jackson Pollock avant-garde.
I've never claimed to
Hey.
be a nail artist, but I gave it my best shot because that's what we should do.
I'll show you the one by my wife that I have not messed up.
Those are cute.
She did wonderful.
Yeah, they're
Those
cute.
are
Good job,
amazing.
You did great, Tosh.
Yeah, show your messed up ones now.
Oh yeah, there's the one that didn't quite make the cut. He's struggling. Get a little eye
He's got a
patch.
little red eye.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for joining me, Kristopher. Thank you, JJ and Tasha, for participating as well.